Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we will be covering all the green cards in Tarkir Dragonstorm. As always, if you enjoyed the content, feel free to subscribe. It's a free way to show your support. And if you have any differing opinions about these cards, please let me know in the comments down below. But let's get right into it. First up, we have Einok Wayfarer, a 1 in a green, 1/1 dog scout. When this creature enters, mill 3 cards. You may put a land card from among them into your hand if you don't put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. I think this is going to be one of the premium commons of the set. I like that it works in Sultai and it works in Abzan as well. Anything in that Golgari pair, you're going to want this card. I like that it helps you hit your land. And I like that it possibly has a +1/+1 counter on it for all those Abzan synergies. I will give this a B-. Up next, we have Attuned Hunter. For 2 in a green, we have a 3/3 human ranger that has trample. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard during your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So I like everything I'm reading with this card, but I think I would like this more in the Teamer wedge than Abzan or Sultai, even though they both have to deal with the graveyard. I just think you get more value out of Harmonize. The take I've been hearing as of late is that a lot of the renew mechanics are a little bit too expensive for what they do, so you don't really want to take a turn off to renew and then maybe just get a +1/+1 counter. It might not have enough value, but as an uncommon, I think I would land... Oh man, in the right deck, it's probably B-, but I'm leaning more towards a C+ on Attuned Hunter. Then we have Bloomvine Regent, our green rare Omen Dragon. It's 3 green for a 4/5 flying dragon. Whenever this creature or another dragon you control enters, you gain 3 life. So already in limited, that's kind of crazy. And then it has the Sorcery Speed Omen Claim Territory. For 2 in a green, search your library for up to 2 basic forest cards, reveal them, put one onto the battlefield tapped, and the other in your hand, then shuffle. So I like this a lot. I like that it helps you get up to the mana. Sure, it only helps you find forest, so if you're trying to splash a lot, this card doesn't really help you splash. But that text that the dragon has whenever it or another dragon enters, you gain 3 life is huge and limited. This might be one of the better dragons of the cycle. I would give this a A- on the tier for limited as a bomb rare. And then I'm wondering if this can work in any slower decks. I don't think this card does what we really want to be doing in Standard or Pioneer. I just think the value is really slow, and I think the gain 3 life at a time for casting stuff is just all right. Unless you're somehow able to loop dragons, I don't think this is really going to be very playable. Then we have Champion of Dusan. 2 in a green for a 4/2 human warrior, also has trample, and then it has renew. For 1 in a green, exile this card from your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter and a trample counter on target creature. Activate only as a sorcery. So I think this is a really nicely costed renew ability. I like that it's +1/+1 and trample. This might be one of the better renew cards. I would give this a C+ as a common. Next up, Craterhoof Behemoth, the Legend. A 5 green 5/5 beast with haste. When this creature enters, creatures you control gain trample and gain +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. So this is definitely a bomb in limited. This is definitely like an A+ bomb. If this gets countered, that's going to be real bad times. Everyone knows that this is a commander staple at this point. Anything that is in a go-wide strategy, I think it's just A's across the board. Craterhoof Behemoth has proven itself time and time again. We did see Moonshaker Cavalry earlier this year as the white version of this that gave flying instead of trample. However, I think that format was a little bit faster, and white is not really a color you can ramp super easily in, so I think this will be better than Moonshaker Cavalry for sure. Sniper Dragon. For a single green, we have a 1/1 human archer with Vigilant, Reach, and Death Touch. I think you would like to pick up these cards. I think it just really helps to deal with pesky flyers and dragons. Other than that, you might be able to give it a bunch of +1/+1 counters to make it a little bit more formidable, but I like that it's a good roadblock for your opponents. They'll definitely want to use spells. You can also hit it with Desperate Measures, which is a black instant speed +1/-1. If it dies, draw 2 cards. I think it's just a premium 1-drop. I would just give it like I'd give it like a C+. Then we have Dragon Brood's Relic. For 1 in a green, we have an artifact that has tap, and then tap an untapped creature you control to add 1 mana of any color. And then you have 3 white, blue, black, red, green. Sacrifice this artifact. Create a 4/4 dragon creature token named Reliquary Dragon. That's all colors. It has flying, lifelink, and when this token enters, it deals 3 damage to any target. I think this is not going to be good enough. Obviously, tapping down your creature for a extra mana isn't ideal, but this is a 2 mana kind of like Manalith, which is interesting. Making the Reliquary Dragon, however, I don't think is that great. I don't think I want to pay 8 mana for a 4/4 flying lifelinker that deals 3. Like if this also drew a card and like -4/-4 something, I think then we'd have a conversation. But I think this is going to be I think it's going to overall be like a little bit of a C-. In the right deck, you can get some value out of it for sure. But I'm not in love with it. Okay, now we have Deceived Earth Carver for 5 and a green. We have a 4/4 Elephant Druid that has reach, and when this creature enters, it endures 3. I think it's going to be another solid common. I think you're going to want to take it a little bit higher than a 23rd playable. I like that it can be big enough to stop any dragon in your way, or go a little bit wider too if you just want to stretch out across the board. Just a real solid playable. Encroaching Dragonstorm for 3 and a green. We have enchantment. When this enchantment enters, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. When a dragon you control enters, return this enchantment to owner's hand. So yeah, I think this card really only works unlimited if you're playing like a 5-color deck and you just need more. Taking off turn 4 to get 2 lands that enter tapped can work for certain decks. You definitely need to be playing a grindier game, a longer game, possibly a control shell. So I would definitely not recommend this for a mid-range Abzan deck. I would give it a... I'll give it like C-. Then we have Formation Breaker, a 1 and a green, 2/1 beast. Creatures with power less than this creature's power can't block it. As long as you control a creature with a counter on it, this creature gets +1/+2. Okay, so if you meet the prerequisite, you're paying for a 2 mana 3/3, which is cool, and then it can't be blocked by creatures with power less than this creature. Can't block it. Okay, so if we are doing the thing, then we have a 2 mana 3/3 that can't be blocked by 2/2s, 2/1s, 1/1s, 1/2s. I think that's okay. I think that's pretty good. I think if you pump this up and give it more +1/+1 counters and keep making it unblockable, you can definitely get a lead. I would give this a C+. Next up, we have Herd Heirloom for 1 and a green. We have an artifact that says, tap, add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast a creature spell, and also tap until end of turn, target creature you control with power 4 or greater gains trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. I think this is a really cool card. I think we could have seen this. I think this could possibly see some standard play in like 4-color decks. I know the Domain Overlords has kind of like taken over because of the Green Overlord being able to be kind of like the perfect ramp for like a 5-color deck. I like this on 2. It kind of sucks that it's only creature spells. I think for limited, this is a fine card. I like that it enables trample. It enables card advantage conditionally. So I would give this like I would give it a solid limited B, and I kind of don't think we will see this appear in standard very much at all. Heritage Reclamation for 1 and a green. We have an instant speed spell that has choose 1 and 3 modes. First mode, destroy target artifact. Second mode, destroy target enchantment. And the third mode, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard and draw a card. Super versatile. You definitely bring this in a best of 3 limited situation for sure. It's pretty good. I mean, solid C, C+, maybe. I like that the exile is relevant and you get to draw a card, so you can take away the best thing your opponent can do in their graveyard while still drawing another card. Could be a sideboard card in standard as well. Other than that, I don't think it'll make much of an appearance anywhere else. And we have Inspirited Vanguard for 4 and a green. We have a 3/2 human soldier. Whenever this creature enters or attacks, it endures 2. So with endures 2, it'll either give itself 2 +1/+1 counters or make a 2/2 white spirit creature token. I like this card. I think it's great that it also threatens activation on attack 2. It might kind of promote your opponents to destroy this before you get to your attack step, so that you may be able to spend your mana more freely in your second main phase. I like that about it. I like that it can come out as a 5/4 and then on the next turn be a 7/6. There are a lot of big creatures in this environment. There's a lot of removal, so I think it's just a good card that needs to be answered. I'd give it like a B-. Knockout Maneuver for 2 and a green. We have a sorcerer's speed spell that reads, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, then it deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. So I kind of don't like this spell that much at 3 mana. I would much prefer it be at 2. What that means for limited, however, is I think you want this in more of a Teamer style strategy than an Abzan style strategy. In Abzan, there's a lot of times you're going wide and you're not making your creatures as big as possible, even though it does do the +1/+1 counter thing. I would say, yeah, because if you're in the Abzan strategy and you're splitting all your endures across the board and they deal with your biggest one, then this card kind of becomes a little bit useless in your hand. So I'm worried about that. I would give this a solid C. If I'm taking removal very highly, I don't have very much removal, I'd bump it up to a C+ and just grab it. Crotic Nestguard for 2 and a green. We have a 4/4 insect with Defender, and then it has 2 and a green. This creature can attack this turn as though it didn't have Defender. I think this is going to be like surprisingly pretty good. I think this will end up being like a C+. Well, I'll give it a C+ if it had reach for sure, like some spiders do, even though anatomically I have no idea what I'm looking at. Lacid Prowler for 2 green. We have a 5/5 Snake Ranger. When this creature enters, you may mill cards equal to the number of lands you control. And then it has Renew 1 and a green. Exile this card from your graveyard. Put X +1/+1 counters on target creature, where X is the number of land cards in your graveyard. Activate only as a sorcery. It's very interesting. So in face value, we play this on turn 4. We mill 4 cards, and then if they are lands, we get a bonus off the renew. I like that the renew is cheap, and I like that it's statted as a 5/5 for 4 mana. It will just be annoying for your opponent to deal with. So I think in the Sultai decks, this will be a little bit nicer. I think they'll be, as long as all those cards you're milling have renew or have harmonize or some other effects, it'll be good because it'll be like loading your hand with extra abilities and spells. But if you're not doing that, this card is not as good. So I think this could be a solid B+ rare in the right deck. This could be a very interesting kind of thing in Commander 2, possibly. You can kind of get like all of your lands out. There's a lot of ways to do that. Maybe mill your whole deck and go for a Thassa's Oracle combo some way. It's very interesting in the constructed space. Then we have Nature's Rhythm for X green sorcery speed spell. Search your library for a creature card with mana value X or less, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Then it has Harmonize X green. I think this card will still be pretty good for limited. You have to spend a lot of mana, X +2 for whatever you're trying to grab. However, I think if you're using your graveyard more and you're tapping down a creature, like if you tap down a 4-drop and then pay 4 mana, you get another 4-drop, which is kind of like where you want to be. If you tap a 5-drop, you kind of get a 5-drop. Yeah, I think it's a really good and limited because it's just helping you find another thing that you want that's basically at the same cost of your creatures you have on board. That is when you are using the Harmonize. When you are not, however, you're getting -2 value on just whatever mana you have. So I think you definitely need to mill this card, and I think there could be a constructed space for this as well. I think it's cool that it works with like Sultai Commander decks. I think it may even work with some combos in Standard as well. This is our version of Green Sun Zenith now, and they'll probably get the job done. Piercing Exhale for 1 and a green, instant speed spell. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you may behold a dragon, and then target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker. If a dragon was beheld, Surveil 2. So that Surveil 2 is going to be huge. Again, it is a punch spell. It's cool that it hits planeswalkers as well because there's some insane planeswalkers in this set that you would want to deal with. As a spell, I like it better than the 3-mana version we saw just earlier. So I have to give this like a C+ for sure. If you're getting that Surveil, that can really help you hit the cards you need to hit. Removal and card advantage, maybe I give that a B-. Rainveil Rejuvenator for 3 and a green. We have a 2/4 Elephant Druid. Whenever this creature enters, you may mill 3 cards, and then it has tap. Add an amount of green equal to this creature's power. I think this can also help you ramp to like really big bomb rares. Like there's a lot of 7-mana spells, there's a lot of 6-mana spells. So I think that's cool about this card. Would love to play it on 3 instead of turn 4, honestly, but it's probably still good. Doesn't really like to remove anything on the board. I guess it's cool because on your opponent's turn, you get to hold more mana than a typical mana dork will allow you to hold. So it really helps with like instant speed tricks, punches, spells of that nature. So I like that part of it quite a bit. I think that alone is going to make me kind of go up on it. I'll give it like a B-. Rite of Renewal for 3 and a green. We have a sorcerer speed spell. Return up to 2 target permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. Target player shuffles up to 4 target cards from their graveyard into a library, and then you exile Rite of Renewal. However, the second sentence is pretty interesting because you can get cards you want back from your library into your deck, or you can shuffle in cards that have Renew or Harmonize or things you're worried about your opponent having back into their library, and then maybe the coast is clear for a turn or 2 for you to get through the game if those cards you were seeing seemed relevant. Roamer's Routine for 2 and a green. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Harmonize 4 and a green. So, it has the potential to be ramping growth or better with the Harmonize ability. Maybe you want to play creatures that mill 3 or 4 cards off the top of your library and then get a discount version or the same cost as the front face of Roamer's Routine. Again, I think you want this for more decks that are splashing. I'm never the type of player that likes taking a turn off to use an effect like this personally, but there's a lot of players better than me, so I'm sure it's going to have its place. I'm going to give this a solid C. Sage of the Fang for 2 and a green. We have a 2/2 human druid. When this creature enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Then it has Renew for 3 and a green. Exile this card from your graveyard. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Then double the amount of +1/+1 counters on that creature. Activate only as a sorcery. So I think that's cool. I like that it can either be a 3-mana 3/3 or come in a little bit later and help out a bigger creature, kind of stabilize your board. And then the renew effect, I think, is actually really good, especially with creatures that have trample. We had the Attuned Hunter from prior. I think this card synergizes really well with that card. The fact that they're both 3-drops is a little bit awkward, but I think there's still some really solid cards. I would give this a B minus. Sagu Pummeler. For 3 and a green, we have a 4/4 beast with reach and renew 4 and a green. Exile this card from your graveyard, put 2+1/+1 counters and a reach counter on target creature. Activate only as a sorcery. So I like this card. I like that it's a 4/4 reach, 4/4. Seems very on rate. The renew ability can definitely help if you're about to die to the air. However, that 5 mana is really costly. So I like the front side. Not sure how I feel about the renew. I would give this a solid C. Sagu Wildling. For 4 and a green, we have a 3/3 flying dragon. When this creature enters, you gain 3 life. And then it has the sorcery speed Omen, Roost Seek. For a single green, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So I like this card a lot. I think it's super versatile. I really like having the green on turn 1 to make sure you're hitting the colors you need. I really like this if you're splashing a 4th color, and I really like the ETB of the card in general. I would give this a C+, and happy to play more than one copy, I think, for the most part, especially if your curve's running a little bit higher and you really want to get to the late game and make sure you're hitting those land drops. I like a card like Sagu Wildling for that specific reason. Sarkhan's Resolve. For 1 and a green, instant speed spell, choose 1. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn, or destroy target creature with flying. So this is really interesting. We've seen spells like this before that destroy target creature with flying, but usually they're stapled with the other effect being destroy target artifact. So we see pump spells like this a lot. Usually the ones that are good are like Fanatical Strength, which also staple trample onto the effect. This card does not do that, but I think the fact that it could either push a win or destroy something that's in the air is pretty huge. The versatility, I think, is really great because it's either helping you push ahead and close down that clock or helping you catch up. So I would give this a solid C+. Snakeskin Veil. For a single green, it's an instant speed spell. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It gains hexproof until end of turn. So I don't think I've ever seen a format where this card is bad. Just being able to blank one of your opponent's cards is super huge. Even maybe getting a trade in combat. This card is honestly always like a B- for me all the time. Just a single mana being able to do this is so awesome. Sultai Devotee. For 1 and a green, we have a 2/1 Zombie Snake Druid with Death Touch and the filtering ability to add black, green, or blue. Activate only once each turn. So I like that this has Death Touch. I like that it's a 2-drop. It can help like slow things down. It can stop a 4/4. I like those things. I think other than that, it's not really doing anything special in the Sultai colors. I think in Sultai you do want to board stall a little bit and get more advantage. Death Touch early can be pesky, but I think I would give this a C-. I think you want more cards that are going to give you card advantage in those colors. More than that, most of those creatures come at the 3 cost. So I don't know if this will have a lot more room to be viable because of that. But I'll still stick at a C- because I kind of just think other than being a 2/1 Death Toucher, this card doesn't really do too much. Sirach Elusive Hunter. Now this is my kind of card. For 2 and a green, we have a 4/3 legendary creature, Human Warrior, with the spell cannot be countered. It has trample, and whenever a creature you control or a creature spell you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, draw a card. So I really like that this enters, and if your opponent wants to deal with it, outside of combat, it's already going to be a 1-for-1 exchange. You will still get a card back. I like that it cares about any of your creatures. I like that it cares about your creatures being on the stack. Yes, if your opponent counters a creature spell that isn't Sirach, you will still get to draw a card. I think this card is just awesome. I like that it has trample. I can't wait to play this in standard either. I love making my opponents feel like by dealing with my cards, I'm going to start running away with card advantage. I'm going to give this just, I'm going to be biased. I want to give this an A+. I think in limited, it's kind of I think it's a B because it doesn't have a great ETB effect. However, I think this will be a card you see in standard, especially with Llanowar Elves. You get to put this on turn 2. Yeah, I want to place it. I really want this card. This card is sick. Synchronized Charge. For 1 and a green, sorcery speed. Distribute 2 +1/+1 counters among 1 or 2 target creatures you control. Creatures you control with counters on them gain vigilance and trample until end of turn. And the kicker, harmonize 4 and a green. I think for 2 mana, this is really, really sweet. So I think the main ability of this spell is really sweet. For 2 mana, putting 2 +1/+1 counters wherever you need them to be, and then getting vigilance and trample is super huge. And then I really love the harmonize too, because you can play a 4-drop spell that doesn't have haste and at least tap it down for a single green to get the main effect and maybe close out the game that way. I like that if you accidentally mill it, you still get some value back. You'll still be able to play it. I think this is, I almost want to give this a B+. I think it having sorcery is still all right, especially because you're gaining vigilance. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with that B rating, solid B actually. Trade Route Envoy. For 3 and a green, we have a 4/3 Dog Soldier. When this creature enters, draw a card if you control a creature with a counter on it. If you don't draw a card this way, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So for 4 mana, you can get a 5/4, or if you have a +1/+1 counter, you can draw a card. I think that's just great value. I think for 4 mana, the 4/3 body plus a card is still really good. It's probably not as good as the white Salt Road card that discounts for each creature you have, but I think you'd be happy to play this in a mid-range deck. I'm gonna go C+. We have Traveling Botanist for 1 and a green. We have a 2/3 Dog Scout. When this creature becomes tapped, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. If you don't put the card into your hand, you may put it in your graveyard. I think it's really interesting. We saw a card like this, I think, in Crimson Vow that just kind of pressures your opponent a little bit more. I like that it's whenever it gets tapped, so you can just attack and get value off the attack. You can also, I don't think there's too many vehicles in this set, but this would work with something like Crew as well, or that one mana lift we saw that requires you to tap a creature. These two cards synergize together very well because they're ramping you and getting the land into your hand. And you can also just mill a card with Harmonize. That way it's like an extra card in your hand already. Yeah, I think this is going to be really good. I'm going to give it a B- common. Undergrowth Leopard. For 1 and a green, we have a 2/2 cat with Vigilance. Pay 1, sacrifice this creature, destroy target artifact or enchantment. I think these will always be super playable, especially if you're putting +1/+1. Especially if you're putting +1/+1 counters on a creature with Vigilance, this can definitely become a problem. And if your opponent plays something like Dragonback Assault, you can get rid of it with this card. I just love cards like these that have more versatility and can be somewhat situational removal. So I would give this a C+ for a common as well. And last up, we have Warden of the Grove for 2 and a green. We have a 2/2 Hydra. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Whenever another non-token creature you control enters, it endures X, where X is the number of counters on this creature. I think this card is insane. I think this is probably going to be one of the better rares for limited, probably an A+, just because it helps turn one card into 2 cards multiple times. I think your opponent really needs to deal with this. And I can even see this getting played in Standard with Land of War Elves as well, going into this turn 2, and then any other creature you start playing, you just keep going wider and wider. Yeah, I think this is a solid, just a solid A and A+. Take it highly, try it out in Standard. I think it's going to be super fun. As always, if you enjoyed the content, feel free to subscribe, leave a comment. We also have a ton of other socials with different content. We have TikTok, where we have much more looser content, a lot more fun, a lot more candid. We have a Discord for just talking about all things Magic, whether it's Commander, Limited, Pioneer, Standard. So if you're so inclined, feel free to join the Sac Squad. And until next time, sayonara.